because someone sent me something on Feminist Reddit, and I got real.
I know you told me.
I know.
You're like,
did you see the link I sent?
I'm looking at it.
Reddit became very kind of woke over the years, and they kicked out. They got rid of all the subreddits that were aggressive, right? Except for there's a few ones that sort of stuck, right? But the interesting thing about the feminist, like I was looking at fourthwavefeminism.com and all this stuff because someone sent me this funny thread, but they're very much more like old school feminists. Like they're almost MGTOW in that there was some degree where it was almost more respectable. It was almost like girl power. Okay, girl like power and the MGTOW stuff, the feminist Reddit and the MGTOW. Half of it is like fuck men and fuck women. And then a part of it is like, hey brother, just so you know, we're there for you, brother.
Yeah.
Like some of the MGTOW stuff.
The camaraderie.
Yeah, there's some of that stuff, right? But this stuff, for example, this isn't like that new woke stuff. They're against porn. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Are they? Yeah, they're very much like almost.
No, this whole new stuff where it's it's very
all the sex positive, like they're not all like it's sick. We're all prostitutes.
Yeah.
They're like this stuff's bad. Like the objectification and all that stuff.
Exactly.
They're basically 90s. Like it's just like 90s kind of.
It kind of is. Yeah. And it's weird. It's like. They have. Well, remember that girl that one of the big viral interviews about the Kamala Harris titties? Mm-hmm. That's what that girl said. She's like, we're against. I'm an anti-porn activist. That was the thing, right?
Yeah.
She's like anti-porn. Yeah. But it's weird. So I'm gonna do a comparison of the men one too, but then I'll go through their article because the first thing they said was on both of them, and I'll tell you what I thought about all this stuff is. The female feminist Reddit and the MGTOW stuff, why they were kind of similar. Because they both have valid concerns that it is good to have support for. For example, the girls, there's a lot of it that is very, women's issues. Like, for example, we have to get pregnant earlier. Mm-hmm. If we want to have kids, we're smaller than men. It's, scarier to be smaller. And all this kind of stuff socially, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There are industries that are predominantly men. And if you want to do those, I've never had any problem or thought there was anything wrong with support groups to talk about that stuff. Even with men, their valid concerns was like, they can't get the kids in divorce. You know what I mean? False accusations hurt men more or whatever, right?
Sure.
And there's all these stuff where it's like, they're all valid concerns, but the weird part about both of them, and this is kind of where I feel like all this stuff falls apart, and then when it turns into is a lot of them are based on the premise that men and women are the same almost.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's very, why everything needs to be equal.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing it's the worst kind of like logic because it's just
because we're not,
and you don't have to like it's the round fucking square peg in the round hole. Like you don't have to just like change everything so that we're equal. It's fine not being equal.
And that's what
we're not in many ways.
Exactly. And all of so when it's kind of like support for men because we're different or support for women because we're different, it makes a lot of sense. But as soon as it becomes we need equal it's like it doesn't make sense. It's just exactly.
Equality is literally a concept. It's not like it doesn't.
So I'll show you kind of what one of the things that even in the men's Reddits or whatever, where it kind of was losing me, it's like they were talking about how it's harder for victims of false accusations or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then they were they talk a lot about how it's not fair that men, when men are like sexually assaulted by a girl, it's not looked at as the same, right?
Yeah.
And then they said, and they go,
and it shouldn't be.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I think. And then it was like, even when, so they go, when you were falsely accused and it ruined someone's life, this is where it started to feel like the modern woke stuff of this. Like, even in something like ruining your life, so a lot of people will say, well, when you do this, when you false accuse someone, it makes it harder for real victims. That's like a big argument.
Sure.
And they're saying, even when something like ruining your life, you have to frame it in a way that will help women because otherwise no one would care about it, right? Mm-hmm. Which is like true, but it's not really a reasonable goal to think that's not going to be the case. It's like, yeah, women are smaller. And people are going to care. The same thing, people are going to care about women and children more.
Of course.
So it's like, yeah, it is just like a political thing. But yeah, but it's like, yeah, that's true. And it's always going to be
women
true.
and children first. That's a saying that everybody knows. Everybody's heard. Like there's a pecking order.
But there's also even more of that men don't think of themselves as a unit the way that girls do, right?
No.
So men don't think of themselves as like...
Men are more competitive.
They don't see... Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I think there's like a biological competitiveness aspect where like, if you go back to kind of like, what is it? What's the GAD-SAD thing he does? The biological... Whatever. I can't remember what the term is. But yeah, it's like guys are just way more competitive.
Yeah, so they don't think of themselves as like one big
evolutionary
group.
biology.
So you have to kind of make individual appeals to men, whereas to women you kind of do have to make appeals to being like, listen, this is going to be worse for all of you.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like how people naturally are. But that was
plus we all know women are a bit cattier, so they don't like dissent in that.
But yeah, it was one of those things where it is kind of like if you're going to a guy and you go, hey, listen. We should put protections in because, you know, some guys might come and beat you up or whatever. You know, guys might not care, but if they go, hey, we need security here because some of the women might get like,
yeah,
most guys will go, okay.
For sure. Every guy who has a girlfriend, their girlfriend at one point in time, unless she's like really, really gross, has told them that, like, even the gross ones are like, yeah, like I was walking and some guys are like yelling at me and
it's New York City. It's worse than anywhere.
Oh yeah, New York City is worse because it's like legit crazy people who.
Girl, you got a nice left titty and a right titty.
Yeah, but they're like like it's like someone who's like literally wearing like track pants that are completely soiled on the front and the back.
Yeah,
and they're like, hey baby, you want to go out later? Come on, baby.
There's the guys outside my house, and it's you have to run a gauntlet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, but if you say to me, you go, hey, we should get some cops in here because these guys are gonna, you know, it's gonna be better for men. I want to, but you go, it's better for women. So obviously that appeal makes sense that it's less safe for women. But then they have their same, the women have the women's feminism groups have all that same shit where it's like everything is. So the thread that they did was called "Things Men Do That Are Misogynist," right?
One word answer, everything.
Yeah.
Why even have a thread? Saved you the reading.
But it really was, when you start boiling down all the things, it was just things we don't like about boys.
Yeah.
Like reasons why boys are different.
My favorite one is that there's one that keeps coming up the most, which is they go, when a guy refers to a woman as crazy, that's the real hot button.
I know.
That's the one where you could tell, like, that's almost like you shouldn't have said this so much because, like, a guy, that's like a real insight.
They hate being called
Women
crazy.
do not like being called crazy.
Well, I found,
especially when they're acting crazy. That's when they like it the least.
Well, I had different categories I made. These were the categories of to describe all of the Reddit, and all of it could be summed up in just things we don't like about boys.
Yeah.
But there's the first type is when it's like they're just things people do. You know what I mean? It could go both ways. Like, for example, they say we hate how when men only respect women that are attractive, that's misogynist.
Yeah.
And that was a big one we saw a lot in the thread. It goes, like, if a woman is attractive, she gets a pass and treated with sexual interest. But if she's ugly, she's useless to him. And it's just that, yeah, hot people have it easier.
Yeah.
Period. But
yeah, it's not the
do
same
you
for guys.
think that if some guy is 900 pounds, he doesn't have a harder life with women than George Clooney?
Or even other guys. That's the thing, is like guys to other guys are the same like that, even when they're not trying to fuck them.
Of course.
Yeah. Like but again, we know this is obvious. And then you tell these people and they're like, what? So I'm crazy? What are you saying, Ryan? Are you saying that what I think is crazy?
But I think that it's like they funnel everything they don't like into it's misogynist. Mm-hmm. When it's just this is things that everyone does.
Yeah. This is like definition of an echo chamber, by the way, because it's like a locked post. I'm sure anybody who's who's like, yo, you bitches are acting up, delete.
They do. You would see a weird one and then it would be 9 deleted comments.
Yeah, totally. It's like, it's all just like, hey, you're only allowed to kind of think in this framework. Otherwise, like,
Well, here's another crazy one. They said, if you talk to them and they say all their exes are crazy, that's another thing that men do that's misogynist. But I've been with many insane girls where they go, yeah, the last 5 dudes I dated they're all so bad.
Yeah.
And you go, well, either that's what you like.
yeah.
Or you're nuts.
I mean, the thing with the crazy
and
thing,
usually when that's what you like, it's because you're fucking like that too.
yeah. Also, we know guys who are like, yeah, I only date crazy chicks. Yeah, but it's
Not always, but
not always.
pretty good.
Sometimes, for sure.
They're fun. They're like most
They're more volatile.
cool and like funny chicks.
Yeah.
Are generally kind of nuts.
A little wacky. But they're saying, oh, like my ex he says all his exes are crazy. He's like, yeah, that's what he's into. He's had options of regular chicks.
Well,
he
you just said
doesn't
the
want
same thing as I said, but the other way around.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's like, he gets the option. He matches with, goes on a fucking Tinder date with some chick who's like boring and plain.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't like this. I want the girl who's fucking splashing a drink in some random guy's face
Yeah.
on the first date and then making me try and fight him.
And then you go, oh, that's so fucking hot.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then she does that and she goes, I don't like that my boyfriend says all. It's like, you fucking took a box cutter to a bouncer's face
Right.
on a date.
And you're not allowed to tell them. Yeah.
like, and what? And that's crazy all of a sudden?
So that goes both ways.
Yeah, of course.
And then they go, when a guy has a problematic relationship with his mother, it's crazy. And you go, but every woman that she's like, I don't even fucking talk to my dad. That's not a red. It's like, these are not misogynists. This is just people. So you go, with the men's groups, all go misandrist, misandrist. But how is that a girl being like, I don't talk to my dad? It's like. So that's because he's misogynist.
The patriarchy.
But if you don't talk to your mom, it's because you're a misogynist.
Because you're a misogynist.
It's like everything that people do.
Well, again, it's like if you just start from the starting point that all men are misogynists, then it's very easy to just work backwards to say like anything is that
Rule
they do.
one. Reasons why men are misogynist. Has a dick.
Yeah, basically.
And then they said the amount of people who don't listen to female artists or watch movies without female stars is astounding. And that's kind of the exact thing I'm saying about before where, that is this idea of why on earth is it problematic that men want to watch men's stuff?
Yeah.
And girls want to watch the fucking Kardashians or whatever. It's all on this predicated on this principle that any differences in entertainment is somehow a problem.
I mean, it's any differences, not even entertainment, just any differences, period.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like
they're not going to rest until we're fucking once a month shoving a tampon up our ass just so we can sympathize with their plight.
When these people started to lose people, I think, because this is where I was going back, where it's like, there are valid concerns from each gender.
Of course.
And then you go, I think they lost everyone. Probably the number one place they started losing everyone was when they started lying to make their points. Like, for example, the trans stuff, I'd say, because if you ever talk to girls that are into this stuff about, for example, why women shouldn't, or why trans people in women's sports is a problem, they're clearly lying.
Well, no, the real
they
lie.
might believe it, but the whole thing's so dishonest.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that where they really lost people is they go, look, women should compete, or trans women should be allowed to compete against women. And you go, okay, I'm listening. And they go, because there's no difference between men and women physiologically. And go, well, everybody knows that's not true.
But they'll say things. They'll go,
but again,
even though what I'm saying
is they start off with this point. You go, okay, like I'll hear you out. And then their first thing is you're like the most blatant lie that everybody knows to their core.
Yeah.
And they go, this is your whole thing?
Have you heard what they say though? They go, the argument they say is they go, well, if that's true, then sometimes there'll be a guy and sometimes he's a girl and they'll be the same. And you know what I mean? They'll say that, well, why is this girl stronger than this guy? And you're like, yeah, if you find a girl that's stronger than a guy, that girl will be stronger than a guy.
Than that guy.
And you go, you're looking at these people being like, you can't possibly think that's a real argument, right? You just you've already decided what the thing is and then you worked backwards. I think that's probably
not only that, but like when you do it with sports, another thing with sports is like, so
people give a shit about sports.
People give a shit about sports, but also sports is very quantifiable. Who's the best? Like there is someone who lifts the most amount of weight.
Yeah.
But in our,
they're better off.
But like in comedy, we have these things where someone's like, oh, women are funnier than men. There's no real way to quantify that, right? Like you can't be like, oh, look at this guy's statistics, her statistics. There's no statistics. Someone just picks or whatever. Like there's no way to. Whereas you could say like, look, like. This guy has the biggest lift in the world.
Yeah.
This woman, this is her lift, and there's 50,000 men in front of her. And that's it. Like, I don't know.
Then they got into the specific scenarios where you go, I mean, I don't know if that's a thing, but they said how men treat women that they're attracted to. They're usually pretty nasty and rude to people that they like. And you go, yeah, maybe in grade 4.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh no, they're saying they're nasty and rude to people they aren't. Yeah,
they are attractive.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally taking like the tiny subsection of people.
That's what I mean.
You know, yes,
that's how you know he's a misogynist.
And when I'm single, I'm probably a little more friendly to some chick that I want to have sex with versus someone.
No, they did both. They literally did.
Oh, they
both.
said both.
They said both. They go, how men that treat women they like bad, that's misogynist, and then if they don't just treat all women equal, but the one where they say you treat women mean that you're attracted to is like,
oh yeah,
what are you in grade 4? That's what I was saying.
I mean, yeah, I guess if they just learned about negging.
Hey, you stupid bitch, you're mystery.
The best are the people who are like just guys who just learned about negging, who have like never touched a woman before. And they go, oh, so I just call her a dumb, stupid bitch, and she's going to have sex with me? You go, yeah, try that.
yeah.
Try that out.
Negging is, that's exactly
like negging if you don't know how to do it, and you're like, you just like, it's a real binary where you go, oh, what's up, you fucking stupid bitch?
You're a slut.
Anyway, so we going home or what? And she like splashes a drink in your face. Well, I'm going to try that back to the drawing board.
And nice tits, fatso.
I actually do think they're nice tits. I just was...
I
don't want to be too complimentary.
Just came from my pickup artist class, and I just wanted to say you have big thighs. And then they said, this one. She goes, women are misogynist. Like my dad, when he assumes I don't know anything about cars. And that's one of those things where you go, well, do you? Like, when was the last
she
time
goes, no, but that's not the point.
That's right.
It's that he assumes I don't know.
That's why I'm laughing. I go, but your dad, so your dad knows whether or not you know about cars,
I know.
I would think.
Yeah.
Have you historically been into cars? And if not, if you talk to your dad and you recently got into cars at 30 years old and your dad's like, and you go, I want to buy a car. You go, oh, well, do you need my help since you don't know anything about cars?
What the fuck?
Are you out of your mind? I'm a fucking car expert. It's like, oh, when did that start? Last week? Well, you've never mentioned anything about cars.
It's like you locked your keys in your car 7 times last month.
Yeah. So a man assuming a woman's not an expert at anything. Guess what? My dad assumes I don't know anything about cars, and he's correct.
Yeah, I know, because I don't.
So that's one of those things where you go, well, it just depends on whether it's true or not. And they said, using women as their personal therapist. It's okay to reach out to a friend, but some men take it to a whole new level when talking to women. And you know what that one is? Again, that's not something men do. That's something men do that have friends as women.
Yes.
Who think about all our friends that are the most emotional. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, they have the most female friends.
Absolutely, that's true.
Because they will listen to that, and it's like the reason you go, that's not misogynist. That is being a chick.
Yes. I mean, whatever. It's just being more emotional. It's they get closer to each other. They have more interests.
You go, oh, can you believe these guys that are hanging out with me? They want to talk to me about, their problems and stuff. It's like, yeah, if they didn't want to talk about their problems, they wouldn't be friends with a bunch of chicks.
That's true. When you tell your guy friends your problem, you just get called gay.
Yeah, dude, I'm not.
Girl.
I have friends that call me and, oh, this and this and this. I've literally said, I go, this seems more of like a girl.
Yeah, seems like.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I go, I'm the, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Dude, that's fucking nuts. Oh, what?
The funny thing back to
you call, when you're a guy telling a story, you go, do you tell me the funny part? You go, pretty funny thing happened about it. Like, you tell me the funny part.
Uh-huh.
and maybe you kind of go, yeah, and it sucks or whatever, but you're not
totally.
like, you go, and I'm, I don't know what to do and this and that. And you go, yeah, it's something you have to figure out because first of all, this is what girls don't realize about everyone they're just venting because they just want to vent to you because no one takes anyone's advice ever.
No, rarely.
Never. Maybe rarely. 99.9 times out of the 10, you hear two girls talking. They give each other advice for 4 hours straight, and then neither of them does any of it.
Yeah, they just go back to business
girls
as usual.
The amount of times a girl's like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be with this guy. And then all her friends, we go, well, if you're going to break up with her, we'll be there for you. Talk about all the things. Then the next day, the girl's like, yeah, I didn't break up.
Yeah, they didn't do it.
And then they'll do it again.
Yep.
Suckers.
Cycle.
That's you being a sucker. You go, this misogynist talked to me for 8 hours. You don't hang up.
Ryan, you calling women suckers? That's kind of misogynist.
I don't even mean suckers in the sense that they're being sucked into something. I mean suckers because women are better at sucking dick.
Oh, no,
than
they're not.
men.
Men are.
Well, you get a little beard ruffle.
I've had a little bit of both. I can't confirm.
And
dudes do it better.
And then they went through others where men are just always wrong, no matter what. They go to tell women.
The
to
crazy
take it
one is
easy
the
or
biggest
relax.
one too, and people are like, "Look, the crazy one comes up so much in this."
Yeah, they said telling women to take it easy. They don't like it.
I love telling my girlfriend to take it easy. That's one of my favorite things.
Are you dating someone that's flipping out? And I get what they're saying, where not anything to do with misogynist. Telling someone to take it easy doesn't work that good when they're flipping out.
Yeah, it's not even when she's flipping out. She's just like sometimes, she's a little neurotic or whatever. I'll just be like, you just need to chill. And she's like, don't tell me to chill. I'm like, I only tell you to chill when you need to, though. She doesn't like it. Not a fan.
Hey, take it easy.
Take it easy.
Yeah, you go, okay, this is a lot right now. I remember when my ex, who was like a most handful that I've dated in a while, I would always be like, I'll tell you we're going to do here. You're going to go in that room. I'm going to come back when you're ready to be a human again. I was thinking to that stuff. I go, yeah, when you're done your tantrum.
Timeouts.
Well, because I never really
don't
flip
exactly.
out unless I
No.
pretend to. I go, you have to act like I'm mad. I go, because sometimes you have to act like you care for some reason. Yeah.
It's like the Stella. It's like,
I go, listen, you're ready to be a human. Put on your big girl pants.
Put on your big girl pants.
And then they said, saying you're not like other women or when a guy says he's not like other guys. So both are bad.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a girl, it's like, oh, it's a good thing you're not like other girls. Or if a guy says, I'm not like other guys. Both of those are misogynistic.
Kid, just don't talk. You know how you could not be a misogynist? Just never speak.
Yeah. They said hating cats is bad. That's misogynist.
Oh.
That's not just being a cat person. That's a preference and it's no big deal, but not liking cats at all is a good sign of misogyny and control issues. So if you have 19 cats.
I just came across this comment that's making me laugh so hard. Ex-boyfriend ate my crisps he knew I always had for lunch. Then he said it's bad for me anyways.
It's a fucking misogynist.
Misogynist piece of shit eating your crisps.
That's a misogynist. And then the last thing, which a category of I don't understand. Mm-hmm. This is a big one that came up 3 times, and they said calling women females is a big problem.
Yeah.
So they go, a guy friend who always says females, I've asked him kindly to stop saying that word around me, and I've even explained it to him why it makes me uncomfortable. He refused to try to understand. If somebody tells you something that makes you uncomfortable, you stop doing it. That's a general rule. I go, female. Then I saw 2 more. It goes, can we as a society stop referring to women as females in casual conversation? No matter what the terminology is, outside of biology, it feels dehumanizing, uncomfortable, and overwhelmingly sexist.
It's so funny
What
too
the fuck?
because my response to that is, oh, you guys are all being crazy. You go, females is a problem? Yeah, that's crazy.
But what is wrong with what is that?
I don't know. I feel it's just a power thing where you go.
Well,
it's like
up.
Policing.
They said at the very least, the clinical term females is like homosexuals. When used in everyday conversation, it gives the impression that women and gay people are from a different species. But why doesn't male?
Males.
So this is when you're talking about the echo chamber thing. This hasn't even made it to the mainstream.
Well,
so
I remember.
I remember.
Our friend Danny Martinello, comic in Toronto. He went to a show, this like feminist show.
Okay.
That we know in Toronto, and he was in like the green room, and I think it was like, when the shows are having like they're about to end or whatever, so everybody's in the green room, and there was some comic, and he goes, "Hey, what's up, females?" And literally like they all were like, females, like excuse, and they really were like, I mean, it's the the bowl cut feminist crew, and they were like, excuse me. Females, like they were going crazy.
Sort of an appropriating Asian hair, by the way, of the bowl cut females. I've never heard that, but you learn something new.
I thought it was more of like a kind of like a smooth guy, like rap thing. Maybe be like, "Hey, what's up, all the females?" Like I feel like Snoop Dogg is calling everybody females. All the
females in the building.
Yeah, like I feel like that's like they're just like hip hop cool guys call people.
But why
females.
is that a problem?
Well, maybe because then they're like, well, I don't know. It's again, I think it's they pick all these things and then they say like, you're not allowed to.
So
say
they
that.
must really hate the male-female washroom. They have to go into a bathroom and it says female on it, and look like to them that's their N-word apparently.
If you put it, I think if you put the S on the end, if the bathroom says females,
that's fine.
No, that's bad. That's female. I think it's fine. Females is when they're like, what?
In their mind, they're going into like what is essentially the bathroom that says for coloreds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, colored bathroom.
Insanity.
Females.